What's up, guys? We're back with Week 14 NFL Sunday action. Let's dive in and break down all of these games and find the value out there in an action-packed Sunday. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and show support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments keeps me fired up and motivated to make this channel even bigger and better. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to take on the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars come into this game, guys, not having the season of their dreams. They're 2-10 overall. It appears we're going to have Mac Jones starting this game, so also kind of bad news out there if you're a Jacksonville fan. They come into this game fresh off of that 23-20 loss there against the Houston Texans. So hey, at least they were competitive. You got to find the positives where you can. Trevor Lawrence, that was quite the dirty hit that he took, guys. I hope he ends up being okay, but that was tough to watch. Obviously, clearly sliding there, and like, what is he supposed to do? Bro just comes in and nails him. So yeah, that suspension there, very well deserved. In that loss, guys, we saw Mac Jones come in and actually play relatively well. I mean, he completed 20 of 32 passes, 235 yards, and a couple touchdowns. He was sacked 0 times, so that's obviously good news there. The running game has been something of a disappointment this season for Jacksonville, in my opinion. I mean, Travis Etienne Jr., 13 carries, 46 yards. Tank Bigsby, 7 carries for 28 yards. Like, they're just not that committed to the running game, and when they do try and commit to it, it doesn't always go amazing. So I can kind of understand why they would shy away from that a bit, but really, guys, being able to establish the run here would have been key for this team pretty much all season long. So we'll see if they can figure something out there on the ground in this matchup. In terms of the passing game, we did see Parker Washington have a big day there. He only caught 6 out of his 12 targets, but put up 103 yards and a touchdown. And Brian Thomas Jr. also had a touchdown and 4 catches, but he only caught 4 out of his 10 targets. Like, obviously, you've got, moving parts there at quarterback right now, so that was a little bit rough. But yeah, not the most amazing day on offense there for Jacksonville, but they did manage to put up 20 points. They only lost this game by 3. We have to give them a little bit of credit. On defense, giving up 23 points against Houston, not bad, but this was CJ Stroud playing on the road, where he is much worse than playing at home. They couldn't stop Joe Mixon, which nobody has really been able to stop Joe Mixon this year. They gave up 100 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown there, and they had no answers for Nico Collins. So I guess the good news for the Jaguars on defense for this game is that, they don't have a whole ton of, super dangerous weapons facing them across the field. Over the course of the season, they're 29th in the NFL, allowing 28.3 points per game. So not exactly the kind of numbers that we're in love with. In terms of their injury report, the offense is looking technically healthy, but obviously when you see guys like, Trevor Lawrence, Gabe Davis, people that are on the IR, probably unlikely to come back this season, it starts to look not so great, but they're not in horrible shape. And like I said, we did see some decent stuff from Mac Jones last week, so we'll see what happens. On defense, we see Tyson Campbell there questionable at cornerback, so we'll see if he's out there or not. The latest news on him looks like he was a limited participant on Friday, so I think there's a decent chance we see him play in this game as they go on the road here to take on the Tennessee Titans, who are not having a much better season, guys. They're 3-9 on the year. They're not in last place in the AFC South. They're in second to last place. They're coming off a 42-19 beatdown at the hands of the Washington Commanders, so that probably doesn't feel amazing, and it's really been a struggle here for Tennessee. I mean, not a team that we thought was going to be great this season, no doubt about that, but they haven't seen the development they had hoped for from Will Levis. Kind of seems like the same old story for him. I do think there's a very reasonable chance that his days in the NFL probably a little bit numbered, or at least his days as a starter. We saw him complete 18 of 37 passes last week for 212 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Bro can get the ball downfield, but that's kind of where the positives end for him. We didn't see any crazy long receptions last week. He just didn't do too many insane things. Only sacked twice. 0 interceptions is a great look for him. We did see Tennessee manage to turn the ball over twice, though, via the fumble. That was Pollard and Jackson. They're the culprits there. So, yeah, not a banner day for this offense, putting up only 19 points, but it hasn't been a very good offense over the course of the season. They weren't really able to run the ball too much in the game since they were getting completely blown out. So, didn't see much from Pollard there or Tajay Spears. We'll see if that changes a little bit in this game. It should, be a closer game, I would think, since we've got 2 terrible teams here, but we'll see what they can do. On defense, it wasn't a great day either. They got destroyed by Jaden Daniels. He had 3 touchdown passes. We did see Tennessee come up with one interception, but they absolutely could not stop the run in this game. They gave up nearly, they gave up 267 yards on the ground. They almost gave up two 100-plus yard running performances there. So, yeah, pretty weak stuff. They didn't force any turnovers except for that one interception. They had a couple sacks, but it was a bad day out there for a defense that's gotten a lot of flowers this season, it feels like, especially for a defense that, at the end of the day, they're giving up 27.7 points per game. Just not a lot of positives here for the Titans. They do come into this game kind of healthy on offense. We do see Leroy Watson, the fourth, questionable, so the offensive line might not be at 100%. On defense, it's a completely different situation, guys. We see, 6 guys, at least 5 starters here questionable, so that's not looking great. They're not going to be at full strength here in the linebacker group. There's no way, and the defensive line is looking pretty banged up as well, so definitely a lot of injury concerns there for Tennessee. None of these guys have been confirmed out, so we might see them out there, but I don't know. How long are they going to stay out there? Are they going to be at full strength? That seems like a big fat no to me. So, guys, looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Titans are getting are 3-point favorites here playing at home. We've got an over-under of 40. Jacksonville 6-5-1 against the spread this season. They're 7-5 to the over. Tennessee 2-10 against the spread. That's really a worst against the spread number in the NFL. They are 7-4-1 to the over. So, guys, first up in this game, I do think you might want to be looking towards the over. I know neither one of these teams are very good, but with both defenses not looking great and showing plenty of signs of injury there, especially for Tennessee, I think we could see a good amount of points. So over 40 seems very live in this spot. I also think the Jacksonville Jaguars at +3 or +3.5. I've seen both numbers out there. I don't know if those 3.5 still exist, but I definitely think this is a spot you want to take the Jaguars getting the points, getting over a field goal here. I'm banking a little bit on Mac Jones continuing what he did last week and playing well, like he played in the end of that game. But I don't know if that's a great spot, but I would say that Jacksonville and the points, and maybe even that over, both of these have some sort of chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Jets. They're going on the road to take on the Miami Dolphins. The Jets come into this game 3-9 on the season. They're fresh off of a 26-21 loss there against the Seattle Seahawks. Things have gotten insanely bleak for the Jets this season. A lot of, guys had them to be a very good team this year with Rodgers coming in and the obvious, they're probably going to trade for Devontae Adams at some point if things don't go well for the Raiders. Well, both of those things happened and Rodgers has looked terrible. So not a lot of positive things to report here for the Jets. I mean, in that loss against Seattle, we saw Rodgers look pedestrian once again. He got picked off, sacked a couple of times. Just not a lot of good things going on right now for the Jets. He only passed for 185 yards. He looks like a shell of his former MVP self. Father time comes for everyone, guys, and it seems like it maybe has come for Aaron Rodgers, who seems very, very down to play the blame game, blaming pretty much everyone except for himself for the problems this team has had this season. We saw the running game look okay, but in pretty limited action last week. I mean, Breece Hall did some good things, but no rushing touchdowns in the game, and I'm not exactly, thrilled with what I'm seeing from them on the ground. Devontae Adams caught 5 out of 12 targets last week for 66 yards and a touchdown, so cool, I guess. That whole addition has not really worked out great. He kind of went from one bad situation to another. We saw a pretty bad fumble there from Breece Hall. That cost him. And yeah, just another tough loss out there. We didn't see anything incredible from the defense, giving up 26 points. They've just been a much, much worse, just team in general since firing their head coach. The interim guy not having a great time. Saleh definitely seemed like the better option. Geno Smith didn't have a bad day against them. I guess the Jets did have 3 sacks out there, so that's something, and they generated a couple of turnovers there via the fumble, but none of that mattered. They eventually take the 26-21 loss. Over the course of the season, this Jets defense has been middle of the road at best. They're giving up 22.3 points per game, not nearly good enough to balance out this terrible, terrible offense. On offense, guys, looking at this injury report, things aren't looking great. Breece Hall confirmed out for this game. We see 3 guys listed as questionable there on the offensive line, which already hasn't been an amazing offensive line, and obviously we know Rodgers not a very mobile quarterback back there, so we'll see if they're able to piece things together here, but it's looking a little bit bleak in this situation for the Jets. In terms of the defense, C.J. Mosley, he's going to be out there at linebacker, and we see Sauce Gardner. He is doubtful for this game at cornerback, so very unlikely to be a full-strength defense there for the Jets either, and it's not like the defense has been having that great of a time, and they're going to need their defense here as they go up against the Miami Dolphins, who are 5-7 on the season now. They come into this game fresh off of that 30-17 loss against the Packers. Yeah, they were playing in the cold, guys, there at Green Bay. We were on the Packers. That was one of our favorite bets in recent memory. That was a great spot, and Green Bay certainly took care of business there. The Dolphins, not going to be a cold weather team. Expecting something of a bounce back. Honestly, Tua played pretty well despite playing in the cold, guys. He completed 37 of 46 passes, 365 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 5 times, but hey, at least the guy still has all of his faculties that we know of. He, bounced back from them, didn't land on the back of his head too aggressively, so good things there for Tua. We'll hope that he can, keep himself together in this one. They weren't able to run the ball too much in that game. They were, down, and when they did try to run the ball, we didn't see Mostert, A-Chain, or even Tua himself have that great of a time running. So we'll see if they can get the running game fired up a little bit in this one going against the Jets. We did see Jonnu Smith have a huge day. He caught 10 out of 11 targets, 113 yards there. Didn't find the end zone, but we did see Tyreek Hill find the end zone there. A touchdown for him. He caught 6 out of 9 targets for 83 yards, and he caught a 30-yard reception, so some positive developments there. We did see Waddle caught all 4 of his targets for 53 yards, so still being a little bit productive, but not the kind of numbers we've kind of grown to expect from him. On defense, they struggled there against the Packers. They struggled against Jordan Love. They also couldn't really stop the run, so definitely some concerns there on defense, but not exactly the most conducive environment to the Dolphins finding success. In terms of their injury report here, we see them pretty healthy on offense. We've got Mostert is questionable, but that's not a huge deal. We do see Armstead. He is questionable there on the offensive line, so if he can't go, that's obviously not great, but I'm not super worried about that. The offensive line looking, I don't know, just not amazing whether he's in there or not. So Tua needs to be getting the ball out of his hands pretty quickly. On defense, we've got a couple of guys questionable. We got one guy in the secondary, one linebacker, but overall, I don't think we have to be too worried about this defense. I think they're in decent shape for this game. They haven't been an insane defense over the course of the season. I mean, they're 14th, giving up 22.2 points per game. That's not terrible, but it's also not amazing. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Dolphins are 6-point favorites. We've got an over-under of 44.5. The Jets, 3-9 against the spread. They are 6-5-1 to the over. The Dolphins, 5-7 against the spread, and they are 7-5 to the under. We're going to be looking mostly at that over-under of 44.5 in this game. I'm not necessarily expecting miracles from either defense, so this is going to be a spot I'm going to be shading towards the over. It's not one of my favorite plays of the day necessarily, but I do think there's a good chance we could see some offense coming from the Jets, since Miami's not going to be at full strength on defense, and Miami's going to put up a lot of points in this game, I would think, especially here playing at home. So go ahead and give me a little bit of a taste of that over. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Atlanta Falcons. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Falcons come into this game down to 6-6 on the season, losers of their last 3 in a row. They're now tied there atop the NFC South. Them and Tampa Bay both 6-6 this year. Last time out, guys, we saw Atlanta lose 17-13 against the Chargers, and another very pedestrian day there from Kirk Cousins. Something is not right, guys. He got picked off 4 times in that game, and he was playing at home. Just not a great look. Completed 24 of 39 passes. He was only sacked once. Yeah, just nothing positive going on there in the Atlanta passing game. It felt like, honestly, if they would have just benched Cousins and gone with Penix Jr. or whoever, they might have been in better shape, because Robinson was doing a great job moving the ball on the ground. He had 26 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. We did see Ray McLeod III have a nice day, caught 4 out of 6 targets for 95 yards there. Drake London had a good game. He caught 9 out of 16 targets. That maybe is a little bit excessive there, but did have 86 yards. And yeah, it was Kirk Cousins that threw them out of this game. It was a tough loss there for the Falcons. I mean, the defense played well, only giving up 17 points, really doing a good job of holding Justin Herbert in check there. They held the Chargers' running game in check, which, I mean, is a huge part. They had 5 sacks there against Herbert. Like, a very nice day. They generated a turnover as well. So yeah, it was a nice day there from the Falcons defense, but with the offense putting you in so many bad situations, there's only so much you can do. So a nice win there for the Chargers, a tough loss for the Falcons. This defense, guys, they're kind of not amazing this year. They're 22nd in the NFL, giving up 24.3 points per game. This was supposed to be a much better offense, but that obviously has not really come together. We see the offense relatively healthy coming into this game. No reason to think we're not going to see another big dose here of Kirk Cousins. On defense, Mike Hughes is questionable there at cornerback, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on there. If he doesn't play, they might be struggling here a little bit to cover Justin Jefferson. You're going to need everybody ready to go. He's questionable there with that neck issue, so we'll see what they can do here on the road, taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are cruising right now. They're 10-2 on the season. They're still, a little bit behind the Detroit Lions there in the NFC North, but I think the Vikings have to be more than happy with what they've done this season. They're coming off a very close 23-22 win there over the Arizona Cardinals. They've been playing some close games lately, don't get me wrong, but they played really well against Kyler Murray last week. Sam Darnold seems like he's figured some things out after a little bit of a slump there. He had 2 touchdown passes despite being sacked 5 times. He completed 21 of 31 passes for 235 yards. The running game didn't get a ton of work. Darnold did actually a really good job running the ball himself, but Cam Akers, it was honestly very productive when they did hand the ball off, but just not a ton of snaps to dedicate to that. They were much more focused on throwing the ball. Justin Jefferson had a nice day, 99 yards, 7 of 9 targets there for him. Pretty good. No touchdown, though. Jordan Addison, not a bad day either. We did see Aaron Jones fumble the ball away once. That was a pretty big deal. Definitely something there they want to be cleaning up. But not a horrible day there for the offense, putting up 23 points, just barely enough to get the job done. On defense, we saw the Vikings do a great job of holding Kyler Murray and this, pretty solid-looking Arizona Cardinals offense in check. They picked off Murray twice. They only gave up 1 touchdown pass. They didn't do a great job of slowing down the run. Gotta throw that in there. I mean, James Conner had 68 yards on 17 carries, so not insane, but they couldn't stop Kyler Murray from running the ball himself. Is that a huge concern here with Kirk Cousins? I would say it is absolutely not. So we'll see how things go. Just generating those 2 turnovers and 1 sack, not a terrible day. Over the course of the season, the Vikings defense has been very good, 5th in the NFL, giving up 18.3 points per game. They come into this one relatively healthy. We do see Dalton Risner. They're questionable on the offensive line, but that's the only guy on the injury report right now for the offense, so things are looking very, very good there. On the defense is kind of another story. We do see Stephon Gilmore there out for this game at cornerback, so that's not great. Van Ginkel, questionable there at linebacker, and Harrison Phillips, question there on the defensive line. So maybe not quite the full strength Minnesota defense, but they've been a very good defensive team, and a lot of that is due to scheme because they are going to put the pressure on you, and that could be a problem here for Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are 6-point favorites in this game. We've got a total here of 45.5. Atlanta 5-7 against the spread, 8-4 to the under. Minnesota 7-4-1 against the spread, and 8-4 to the under themselves. So right off the bat, guys, that under 45.5 jumps out to me. I don't know if it's one of my favorite plays. I don't love betting unders, I'm gonna be honest with you, but I do think under 45.5 is very, very live in this game. I also like the Vikings here at -6. I don't think this is gonna be the great revenge spot that everybody thinks it's gonna be for Kirk Cousins. I just don't think he's playing very well. I don't think he's fully healthy. I think he needs another year to kind of come back from that Achilles issue. So we'll see what he looks like next season. But right now, I am more than happy to fade Kirk Cousins here and the Atlanta Falcons. The Vikings are a very good team. The offense has been cruising. I think they're going to dominate here playing at home against Atlanta. Not a team that, unless we see them switched up at quarterback or something crazy from Kirk, I think this is a great spot to take the Vikings to win and cover. And like I said, a pretty good spot to take that under. Next up, we're looking at the New Orleans Saints. They're going on the road here to take on the New York Giants. The Saints come into this game only 4-8 on the season, pretty much out of it there in the NFC South. We'll see what they can do here down the stretch, but it hasn't looked good. They're coming off a 21-14 loss against the Rams last week. A game they just couldn't quite get over the top. They did lose Taysom Hill for the season in that one, so that has to feel pretty bad. He's been a super interesting weapon for them to have. Derek Carr had a decent but not great game, despite not getting pressured. Sacked 0 times in the game. He threw for 1 touchdown pass, only completed 24 of 37 passes. It's not like he was going against the most dominant defense either, so definitely a concerning performance there for Carr. What was not concerning there was Kamara, guys. He had a huge game, 23 carries, 112 yards, very nice there. We also saw him be active there in the passing game, but only caught 4 receptions for 7 yards. So the screens and stuff really weren't working that well, but regardless, a nice day there from Kamara. Yeah, losing Taysom Hill there is kind of a tough look. This team has been finally using him some more, and it wasn't really, it was working great until he got hurt. So we'll see what they can do on offense. We didn't go, nobody went particularly crazy there in the receiving game. So we'll see what happens there. On defense, giving up 21 points to the Rams. Not a terrible look. They did a decent job of keeping Stafford a little bit inefficient, but they could not stop the running game there of Kyron Williams. He was destroying them. 15 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown for him. We saw Puka Nacua do pretty well. Cooper Kupp had a very pedestrian day. We didn't see the Saints force any turnovers in the game, so that's not obviously an ideal look. And over the course of the season, guys, this hasn't been a great defense. They're 19th in the NFL, giving up 23.4 points per game. So don't necessarily love that. Their injury report doesn't look horrible. We do see one guy out there, so you're going to be missing at least one starter there on the offensive line, which isn't great when you've got Derek Carr under center, but on defense, they're looking fairly healthy. So, yeah, not that it's been the best defense, don't get me wrong, but they should be at least relatively ready to go for this one. But like I said, not the toughest defensive unit, but they have a relatively easy assignment in this one. They're going on the road to take on the New York Giants, who are only 2-10 on the season. They come into this game fresh off a 27-20 loss there against the Cowboys. Never feels good to lose against your rivals like that. We saw some positive developments, I guess. I mean, Drew Lock looked okay, maybe? I don't know. That seems a little bit generous, guys. He was sacked 6 times, picked off once. That is against a pretty solid, Dallas, pass rush, I guess. So maybe we'll worry about that a little bit more later. I don't think we have to worry about that too much against the Saints. We'll see. Locke also did a good job on the ground. 4 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown for him there in the ground game. And honestly, the Giants did a pretty good job running the ball as a team. A couple of rushing touchdowns there doesn't feel too terrible. Neighbors is banged up for this game. He's coming off of a nice week, though. 8 receptions of 69 yards there, but not the most amazing day there for the Giants. We did see Drew Lock fumble it away once, but when you're getting pressured that much, it can be a little bit rough. The dream would be that he doesn't get pressured quite as much in this game. On defense, we did see some positive signs there from the Giants, although they were going up against, Cooper Rush, a second-string quarterback. No sacks, only gave up 1 touchdown pass, under 200 yards passing, so that's not bad, but they couldn't stop the running game there of Dallas. I mean, Dowdle had 22 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown against them. They didn't give up anything crazy there to CeeDee Lamb or anyone in the Dallas receiving game, so that's nice, but generating 0 turnovers and 0 sacks doesn't exactly fill me with optimism. Over the course of the season, the Giants are allowing 23.3 points per game. That is 18th in the NFL. In terms of their injury report here, we do see Neighbors questionable, guys. He's dealing with an oblique strain, I believe, or a hip issue. Yeah, he didn't practice on Friday. He's questionable for this game. So, yeah, I think there's a good chance we don't see Neighbors playing this one, which obviously isn't ideal. We also see, a little bit of a banged-up offensive line. We don't have it confirmed whether these guys are going to be in or out for this game. But, yeah, Evans Neal definitely fully questionable there at right tackle. So, we'll see what happens. On defense, they're very banged up as well, guys. They're going to be missing at least 3 starters there on defense. That is a tough look, guys. Even playing at home, that feels a little bit rough, and this hasn't been a great defense over the course of the season either. So a little bit concerned about their defense here, and looking at the numbers, it becomes very clear why the Giants are getting 5.5 points in this spot. We've got an over-under of 41. The Giants, they need to run the ball. Seems like they might be able to do it here against the Saints. That would be a big deal. Dexter Lawrence out for the season. Really bad there for the Giants on defense. Guys, this is a tough spot. I am still leaning slightly towards the Giants here, getting 5.5 points. I mean, New Orleans only 5-7 against the spread, 7-5 to the over, and they're going to be playing, in not their favorite environment, playing outdoors in, I would say, relatively cold weather. The Giants 3-9 against the spread, though. That's not great. They're 8-4 to the under. I don't have a ton of great value in this game, guys. Like I said, I'm leaning towards the Giants in the points. I'd also lean slightly towards the over 41 if I'm, being asked, but not a spot that I'm in love with. This might be the rare game on an NFL Sunday that we might just have to avoid. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Carolina Panthers. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Panthers are only 3-9 on the season, but they suddenly have lots of reason for optimism. Their last couple of games were against very solid opponents. Both games were very close. They're coming into this one fresh off of a 26-23 overtime loss against the Buccaneers. Sucks to lose that game in overtime, but guys, a lot of positives. Bryce Young played well once again, nearly 300 yards passing, a passing touchdown there. Only sacked 1 time and 0 interceptions. Chuba Hubbard did fumble it away once. That was a problem, but this has been a very good running team over the course of the year. The real fun thing about this Panthers team is that suddenly we see Bryce Young looking good. It's been a while since we had any faith in him. The beginning of the season, we had a little bit. That was immediately taken away. Then he was benched. But now coming back, suddenly things look an awful lot better. So the kid's looking like he's got a chance to have a career here in the NFL. That wasn't looking like a guarantee. We've loved what we've seen from the Panthers, run blocking, and just their running game in general this season. It didn't look amazing last week. Maybe they're in for a bounce back in this one. Adam Thielen being back is a huge deal for them in the passing game, guys. 8 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown last week. Dude is a monster out there. He should be on a better team probably, but he went there. He got a little bit of a bag, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe some better teams should be targeting him because he is a premier level pass catcher still, in my opinion. We'll see what goes on there. I mean, putting up 23 points against the Buccaneers, obviously not an amazing offensive outburst, but we don't hate what we saw from them, and we also don't hate what we saw from them on defense. They picked off Baker Mayfield twice. They did struggle against the run, which is obviously a huge concern here going against an Eagles team that has Saquon Barkley, but they did struggle against the run. They did positive things against the pass. They generated a couple of fumbles. Unfortunately, they weren't able to recover any of them. But the Panthers and the points were good to us last week, so we are grateful there to Carolina. They come into this game not super healthy. We do see, a couple guys banged up there on offense. Jatavian Sanders is questionable for this week, so there's a chance he'll be back. Robert Hunt questionable there on the offensive line, but I don't think he's probably going to miss this game. We'll have to wait and see. You're not going to know for sure until Sunday, but we'll hopefully find out early enough. On defense, we do see Jadeveon Clowney going to be out for this game, but other than that, they're looking close to healthy. It hasn't been an amazing defense over the course of the season for Carolina, obviously. I mean, they're sitting at 32nd, dead last in the NFL, giving up 30 points per game, but over the last couple of weeks, things have looked a little bit better. So I'm going to give them some credit here as they go on the road to take on the high-flying Philadelphia Eagles, who are fresh off a big 24-19 statement win there over the Baltimore Ravens. Very, very good stuff from the Eagles in that one, no doubt about it. Jalen Hurts, not asked to do much, only 118 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown there. Sacked a couple of times. He did run the ball 9 times for 29 yards and a touchdown as well. He was doing what they needed him to do. Saquon carried the load once again, guys. 23 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown there for Saquon Barkley. So big stuff there. A.J. Brown caught the passes that he needed to catch. 5 out of 6 there for 66 yards. We saw Dallas Goedert back. He caught a touchdown pass as well, so that's nice. And it was a turnover-free day there for the Eagles, taking full advantage of that weak Baltimore defense. Although only 24 points, I'm not going to throw you a parade for that, but they'll definitely take it. On defense, they did struggle to stop Lamar Jackson, especially from running the ball. He had 79 rushing yards there on 8 carries. They also struggled against Derrick Henry. Everyone does, but still something to keep in mind here against a mobile quarterback from Carolina and a solid running game. So questions there for the Eagles defense. They also struggled against Zay Flowers, so maybe they'll struggle a little bit against Adam Thielen. Definitely not that high. Maybe not quite as high as some others there on the Eagles defense, but they've got a good pass rush. That could be a concern here for Carolina. Over the course of the season, the Eagles have been good defensively. Don't get me wrong, 18.2 points allowed per game. That's 4th in the NFL. So got to give them plenty of credit there in terms of their injury report. They're looking healthy now on offense. Devonta Smith is back. He's ready to go. We do see Reed Blankenship going to be out there on defense, so they're going to be missing their starting free safety. So that's obviously not ideal, but other than that, they're looking relatively healthy and ready to go for this game. The odds makers love the Eagles in this spot. They're 13.5 point favorites. We've got an over-under here of 45.5. Carolina 5-7 against the spread. They're 9-3 to the over. Philadelphia 8-4 against the spread. They are 7-5 to the under. Guys, I think this is an excellent spot to take the Carolina Panthers and the points in this game. This is a play that's definitely going in the pinned comment. I've been loving what I've been seeing from the Panthers recently, and Bryce Young is maturing. He's playing much, much better. I think the running game is in a bounce back spot. My concern for this one is, will they be able to protect Bryce Young at all, and will they be able to even slow down Saquon Barkley in the running game? But what I think is really going to be the case in this one, the Eagles are in a big look-ahead spot. They've got a big game coming up next week. They're going to be going up against the Steelers. That's a much more meaningful, tougher to win game here. I think they're in a look-ahead spot. I think we definitely want to be on the Panthers and the points in this one. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Cleveland Browns. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns come into this game 3-9 on the season, kind of in need of a bounce back after losing an absolutely insane game there against the Denver Broncos. They ended up taking the 41-32 loss. We've got Jameis Winston posting stuff out there, praying for the Lord to save him from the pick sixes. Maybe you need to save yourself, buddy. He had 4 passing touchdowns, almost 500 passing yards. The Jameis Winston experience is insane. 3 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. He's gonna sling it, guys. There's no doubt about it. He is gonna put up some numbers, but who knows who those numbers are going to? Who knows who's gonna be catching the ball? It might be his team, might be the other team, might be Jerry Jeudy, who had an insane 9 receptions for 235 yards and a touchdown. Crazy, crazy stuff there. Elijah Moore also had a massive day. David Njoku caught a couple touchdown passes. Crazy stuff there in the passing game. They didn't fully abandon the run, but it wasn't getting too much work and it wasn't finding too much success, albeit against a very solid Denver Broncos, defense. So we'll see what they do on offense in this one. It was craziness last week. On defense, they got shredded. They did a good job, generally speaking. They slowed down the run, didn't stop it. They picked off Bo Nix a couple of times, but no sacks there. They just really kept getting put in terrible positions there by those Jameis Winston interceptions, and some of those just immediately put points on the board. So what are you going to do? The Cleveland Browns defense, I honestly think, is a little bit underrated coming into this game. I mean, over the course of the season, their numbers aren't incredible, giving up 25.7 points per game, but we'll see what they can do in this one. Relatively healthy here for the Browns on offense, guys. Cedric Tillman is out there, so they're going to be missing 1 wide receiver option, but on defense, they're looking healthy. Juwan Hill, the only guy on the report, and he is only questionable. So there's a decent chance he ends up playing in this game as they go on the road to take on their AFC North rivals, guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who come into this one fresh off a big 44-38 win there at the Bengals. We saw great stuff from the Steelers in that game, obviously putting up 44 points. Russell Wilson continues to prove that, the idea of switching up quarterbacks like 4 weeks into the season wasn't a terrible one. 3 touchdown passes, 414 yards to the air. He was picked off once, so got to look at that. He's still very reluctant to run the ball. Najee Harris had a nice day there on the ground. Jaylen Warren didn't do much in his limited touches. George Pickens caught 3 out of his 6 targets for 74 yards and a touchdown, so that's nice. And we saw the Steelers only turn the ball over that one time. Defense was another situation, guys. They could not slow down Joe Burrow. Couldn't really slow down Chase Brown either. They did have 1 interception and 4 sacks, so I guess that's something. They caused Burrow to fumble it away twice. That was pretty much the difference in this game, to be honest. Yeah, that Bengals defensive line or offensive line is a mess. So we'll see what they can do in this one, guys. The Steelers defense over the course of the season has obviously been very, very good. No doubt about that. They're currently 6th in the NFL, giving up 18.7 points per game. On their injury report, we do see George Pickens on there. Pretty concerning. He was very limited in practice there on Friday, dealing with a hamstring issue. So we'll see. They might not want to rush somebody back from a hamstring when you're looking at playing in the playoffs. You need him to be at full strength then, but we'll see what happens. On defense, they're fully healthy, though, so that's the big consideration here for this team. We'll see what they can do in this matchup, guys. We see the Steelers are 6.5-point favorites. We've got a total here of 43.5. Guys, it's pretty interesting. These two teams did just play each other very, very recently. We saw the Browns get the 24-19 win there. So yeah, 43 total points in that game, and now we've got a total here of 43.5. In terms of the weather for this game, guys, I mean, obviously you want to be looking at the weather report there if you're playing a game in Pittsburgh. It looks like it's going to be pretty windy. We've got, not very many. I mean, it says likely rain showers here, so maybe we'll get some precipitation. It's going to be relatively cold, but not freezing, 46 degrees and 14-mile-an-hour winds. Guys, I think we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at the under in this one. I don't know if it's a pin comment level confidence play, but I do think we're going to see offense at a premium. The Steelers are 7-5 to the over. I think we're going to see the Browns reel in Jameis a little bit, so we'll see what happens there, but I think this is a spot you might want to lean towards the under, but not going to be one of my favorite plays of the day. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Raiders are 2-10 this season, fresh off of a nice performance there against the Chiefs. They end up losing that game due to a botched snap, basically. I don't know, a really, really tough look there. They wasted a very nice performance there from Aiden O'Connell. I don't know if they want him to be their long-term starter necessarily, but he did some positive things out there. A couple of touchdown passes, 23 of 35, 340 yards, 0 interceptions, and sacked 3 times. So very, very good stuff out there. That's not the norm. I don't think that's something we can expect to see from him on necessarily a weekly basis, but he played really good against, a decent Kansas City Chiefs defense. Yeah, a nice day from him. The running game also looked pretty good. 25 carries for 116 yards across several different guys. We saw Brock Bowers look nuts there in the passing game, caught 10 out of 14 targets for 140 yards and a touchdown. So pretty good stuff there from the Vegas Raiders on offense. On defense, giving up 19 points to the Chiefs. Obviously a very good day. They sacked Mahomes 5 times. They really limited the running game there, but they did still give up 306 passing yards, so let's not throw them a parade. They, holding any team to 19 points in the NFL, not bad, and definitely a nice day there for a Raiders defense. Has been bad this year, 28th in the NFL, giving up 27.8 points per game. In terms of their injury report, we do see Madison questionable. We see Jacoby Myers questionable also, so the health of those two guys is obviously key. On defense, we see Nate Hobbs listed as out. In terms of Madison and Myers there, we do see Madison. He's questionable with an ankle. Running backs with ankle injuries, guys, not a great look. We also see Myers questionable. So, yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to have much more, clarity there on, these guys, whether or not they're going to be ready to go. If you're asking me for a for sure lean, it does seem like Myers probably going to play in this game. Madison, on the other hand, we'll see. It doesn't seem like he's going to get a ton of reps here. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there as they go on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 6-6 on the season, coming off of a much-needed 26-23 nail-biter of a win there in overtime against the Carolina Panthers. Not a great day out there for Baker, guys. A couple interceptions, sacked 4 times, didn't do a ton of stuff running the ball, but Bucky Irving carried the load there. 25 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown for him. A big day there for Mike Evans. We didn't see, any turnovers besides those 2 interceptions, and that was, that's ideal, obviously. And, Tampa Bay was able to clutch up there in overtime. So good stuff by them, albeit against, a pretty middle of the road Panthers team. So we'll see if they can play a little bit better in this one. I mean, on defense last week, they struggled against the pass for sure. Are they worried about that in this game? Well, we do have the Raiders coming off a very nice offensive performance. So we'll see what the Buccaneers can do in this game. Bucky Irving is questionable for this one, but the defense is banged up once again, guys. Britt going to be out. Mike Edwards going to be out. Tyreek Smith questionable. And Joe Tyron, he's going to be questionable as well. So yeah, not going to be the full-strength Buccaneers defense, which obviously isn't ideal, especially since they haven't been great defensively this season anyway. So we'll see what goes on in this one, guys. The Buccaneers are 6.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 46.5. The Raiders, 5-7 against the spread. They're 8-4 to the over. Tampa Bay, 7-5 against the spread and 8-4 to the over themselves. Guys, I think this is a great spot to take over 46.5 in this one. I wish the number was a little bit smaller. If we could have came in around like 44, I would have liked that a lot more, but this seems like a great over spot. Both teams showing strong trends towards the over, both playing pretty well. Neither defense is amazing, and the Buccaneers defense at least is very, very banged up. So give me over 46.5 in this game. Next up, guys, we got the Seattle Seahawks. They're going on the road in this one in a NFC West showdown that could end up, just determining who comes away on top. Guys, we've got the Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle comes into this one 7-5 on the year, fresh off of their 3rd straight win. They just took down the hapless New York Jets, so let's not throw you a parade there for a win against the Jets, but they did get the job done. Geno Smith, 206 passing yards and a touchdown. Hasn't been hitting the kind of numbers we became accustomed to last season, but he got the job done in this one. No interceptions, sacked 3 times, didn't do a lot with his legs. We did see Kenneth Walker III, 49 yards on 16 carries. I don't know if we're super excited about that. Jackson Smith and Jigba, a decent day for him. Caught all 4 of his targets for 74 yards. DK Metcalf back and being productive. Tyler Lockett kind of fading into the background for this team. But, 26 points, not a bad day. They come away with a win here. In terms of the defense, they did a good job of holding Aaron Rodgers in check. Not that takes much these days. They limited the running attack there from the Jets. They didn't let Devontae Adams go nuts. Only let him catch 5 out of 12 targets. They generated a couple turnovers in the game. So a nice day out there for the Seattle defense that over the course of the year, allowing 22.1 points per game, that is them above average. So I think they'll take that. They're going to be hoping for, some health here. I mean, Kenneth Walker, the third, questionable for this game. Other than that, they're looking very healthy, and this defense is clearly pointed in the right direction. A complicated scheme. It takes some time to learn, but it seems like they're getting things nailed down. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Cardinals, who come into this game fresh off of a tough 23-22 loss there against the Minnesota Vikings. The week before that, they did lose against Seattle 16-6, and that one was at Seattle. So we'll see if they can bounce back here a little bit. Kyler Murray not coming off of his best performance there against Minnesota. Picked off a couple of times, sacked once, was under a lot of pressure. Obviously, only that one sack. He did a good job of escaping it and making plays with his legs. 7 carries for 48 yards. James Conner was also good in the running game. Trey McBride caught all 12 of his targets. That's pretty nuts, guys, for 96 yards. That's pretty good. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. continuing to put up kind of pedestrian numbers. That's not ideal. Only those 2 turnovers in the game, but that was enough to kind of make the difference here. I mean, on defense, giving up 23 points to the Vikings, not terrible. They had 5 sacks, but no interceptions. They only generated that 1 turnover, a tough fumble there from Aaron Jones, but they did a good job slowing down the run. I think on the whole, Arizona would definitely take a performance like that from their defense, which has been decent this season, 11th in the in the NFL, giving up 21.6 points per game. They come into this one looking very healthy there on offense. A big plus to be fully healthy there on offense this time of the season. We do see Jones there on the defensive line is questionable. Jalen Thompson questionable in the secondary, so might not be the full strength Cardinals defense here, and they need everybody on deck. Guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Cardinals are -2.5 now. We've got a total of 44.5. Seattle 5-6-1 against the spread. They're 6-6 to the over/under. Arizona 8-4 this season against the spread. They are 7-4-1 to the under. Guys, I'm not interested in the over/under in this game, but I am interested in taking the Arizona Cardinals here in a bounce back spot at -2.5. I think they're the better team than Seattle, honestly. I just think they have better weapons. I trust Kyler Murray about as far as I could throw him, which he's not a huge guy. Maybe I can get him off the ground, but I'm not going to be able to throw him super far. So I trust him a little bit, and I think we're just going to see good stuff from Arizona. Playing at home is very, very helpful. They're coming off a very solid game against the Vikings. The Seattle defense, I don't think is nearly as good as the Vikings defense. I think Kyler Murray is in for a big game in this one, and I think Arizona will be able to run the ball here, so give me the Cardinals at -2.5. This is a play that's definitely going in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we've got the Buffalo Bills. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Los Angeles Rams. The Bills come into this game fresh off another win, a dominant 35-10 win over the very banged up 49ers. We saw great stuff there from Josh Allen in the game. Obviously, he is the engine that makes this offense work. Two passing touchdowns. He also ran for an epic touchdown there in the snow. Pretty cool stuff. We're loving these snowy games here. James Cook, a big day running the ball. Nobody went particularly nuts there in the passing game, but overall, a very nice day from the offense that didn't turn over the ball and didn't let Josh Allen get sacked a single time. On defense, they dominated the banged up 49ers, guys, giving up only 10 points. They struggled a little bit against the run, I suppose, but yeah, I'm not too worried about this defense. They generated a total of 3 turnovers in the game. Very, very good stuff there from the Bills on defense. In terms of their injury report, guys, they come into this one. We do see Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman both questionable. We'll see if they're able to go. I don't think there's any way they both end up sitting out. And on defense, the Bills come into this one fully healthy. So they've got to be pretty pumped about that. They're going to be taking on a Rams team that's 6-6 on the season. They're playing they just came off a nice win at the New Orleans Saints. So desperately needed win there, albeit not against the toughest opponent. Stafford was fine, only 183 passing yards, but 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, only sacked a couple of times. The real impetus behind this win was Kyren Williams, 105 yards on only 15 carries and a rushing touchdown. So good stuff there. And on defense, the Rams played really well, only giving up 14 points. They couldn't stop the run, though. That is a big concern in this game for sure. I mean, if they weren't able to slow down Kamara, are they going to be able to slow down, just the entire Bills rushing attack? Seems like a big ask to me. The Rams, in terms of their health for this game, guys, we see Alaric Jackson questionable there on the offensive line. Other than that, the offense is ready to go, albeit, this isn't exactly the offensive line they had envisioned at the start of the season. On defense, we do see Jared Verse. He is questionable there at linebacker, but other than that, they're looking relatively healthy. Guys, we're going to be concentrating on the over-under in this game. We do have a premium pick on this one, at Stump the Spread, so head over there if you want to check that out. The Bills, they're 8-4 against the spread this season, 7-5 to the over. The Rams, 5-7 against the spread, and 6-6 to the over-under. Going to be playing in some warm weather here, guys. We do have a couple teams that like to run the ball, but we also have a couple of decently high-powered offenses. If you're begging me for an over-under play on this game, I definitely think we want to side slightly towards the over 49.5. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Chicago Bears. They're going on the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears come into this game 4-8 on the season. They've unfortunately lost their last 6 in a row, but my God, guys, their last 3 losses have been very respectable against some very good teams. Their last time out, they lost 23-20 against the Lions, and that was at Detroit. They lost a very close 3-point game against the Vikings, and they lost by 1 point against the Packers. Over that spread, they've been playing pretty well. Caleb Williams continues to look better, and getting rid of Eberflus, guys, I think would probably make him look even better, honestly. Like, this young man has played some decent football despite not having a very good offensive line in front of him. He has looked a little bit lost at times. He's a rookie out there, but I'm expecting better stuff from him as the season goes on. He played great last week against a very tough Lions defense. He had 3 touchdown passes, 256 yards. He also ran for 39 yards on only 4 carries. Swift was decent in the running game, but didn't get a ton of work. DJ Moore had a huge game, caught 8 of his 16 targets, so that's not amazing, obviously, but 97 yards and a touchdown, and Keenan Allen also had 2 touchdown catches in the game. So the Bears passing game definitely looking much, much better since some changes there at offensive coordinator, and I think changing the head coach going to have even more of a positive impact. On defense, giving up 23 points to the Lions, not too shabby. They kind of slowed down, but obviously did not completely stop the rushing attack there. Detroit, an insane running team. So yeah, only so much you can do there. The Bears on defense this season have been, I would say, decent. I don't think quite great would be correct, but they're 9th in the NFL, giving up 20 points per game. So we'll see what they can do in this one. In terms of their injury report, Swift and DJ Moore both questionable. We do see Ryan Bates out there at center, so that's a big deal. Swift comes into this game. He practiced a little bit there on Friday, so I think that quad issue probably not going to keep him out. DJ Moore also with a quad issue. Sounds like he's going to be playing in this one. So good news there on offense. And on defense, we do see Elijah Hicks out there at safety, but other than that, they are fully healthy to go on the road to take on the super banged up San Francisco 49ers, who are 5-7 on the year, fresh off of that blowout loss there at Buffalo. In that game, nothing went right for the 49ers. Brock Purdy, just nothing good to do. 11 of 18 for 94 yards. Jordan Mason had a big game. Christian McCaffrey had a big game. Cool. Both of them going to be out for this one. Not a whole lot of great pass catching going on there. I mean, Kittle tried to do what he could, but only caught 1 ball for 7 yards. Deebo Samuel, 4 catches for 20 yards. This has just been a nightmare season there for the 49ers. Their defense, which is very banged up, got completely destroyed in this game, giving up 35 points, and they couldn't stop anything that Buffalo was trying to do. The 49ers in general this season haven't been very good on defense, 24th in the NFL, and that injury report is looking pretty much like a nightmare, guys. Trent Williams going to be out for this game. Aaron Banks questionable. Obviously, Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey going to be maybe out for the rest of the year. We'll see what happens. Nick Bosa doubtful for this game. Big shocker. Nick Bosa missing a game. Who is surprised about that? Not me. And yeah, just not going to be anywhere close to the full strength of defense here for the 49ers. We see San Francisco. They are -3 in this game, which is kind of surprising to see them as a favorite, in my opinion. In terms of the over-under of 43.5, guys, we've got, Chicago 6-4, 6-4-2 against the spread. They are 8-4 to the under. San Francisco 8-4 or 4-8 against the spread, 6-6 to the over/under. I think this is a spot we probably want to be looking at the under. I don't think either team's going to be having a great time in this game. The weather's going to be obviously fine. They're playing in San Francisco, but I think we might want to look at offense being at a premium. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the Sunday night football matchup between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs, an AFC West showdown. The Chargers somehow, guys, are 8-4 on the season. Some of that credit has to go to this being a pretty weak schedule, but yeah, a nice win for them last week, a nice defensive win against the Atlanta Falcons, giving up only 13 points. Herbert was pedestrian, to say the nicest that I could say. I mean, he was sacked 5 times last week, only 147 yards. Not a great day. Just in general, the offense did not have much going on, guys. 17 carries for 56 yards in the running game. That's pretty weak. McConkey continues to somehow put up numbers, guys. 117 yards on 9 receptions, caught 9 out of his 12 targets. So good stuff there, but other than that, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about the Chargers did on offense last week. On defense, though, they made Kirk Cousins look like a fool, picking him off 4 times, sacking him once. They did struggle against the run there, which is a concern against a Chiefs team that is more than willing to run the ball this season. So we'll see how that goes, but obviously a very good day there for the Chargers defense, giving up only 13 points. They're actually first in the NFL now, giving up 15.7 points per game. Not something that you see all the time, guys, but when you look back at their schedule, what are the toughest teams they've played this year? I guess the Chiefs, maybe the Steelers. So yeah, they've had a very easy way to go. A lot of that 8-4 schedule is due. A lot of that 8-4 record is due to their schedule. They come into this one a little bit banged up. McConkey questionable once again, but he's been questionable most of the time he usually plays. We also see Denzel Perryman. He's listed as doubtful for this game, so they're probably going to be without one of their starting linebackers. Overall, the Chargers not looking too banged up for this game as they go on the road to take on the Chiefs, who are fresh off of a 19-17 nail-biter of a win there over the Raiders. The Chiefs you would think they need a wake-up call, but when you've played back-to-back close games against the Panthers and the Raiders, might be time to lock in. We do see, the Chiefs players getting a little bit extra rest. Andy Reid, giving guys a little bit, not really a full bye week or anything like that, but letting guys take something of a step away from football, which I think could be very key here for the Chiefs. Last week against the Raiders, obviously just eking out that win, in large part based on, a muffed snap there by the Raiders. Mahomes actually looked really good. 306 passing yards, a touchdown. He was sacked 5 times, so might want to work on that. They've done some reshuffling of the offensive line. Seems like that might be in a better situation now. We got Pacheco, we've got Kareem Hunt, both trying to work well in the running game. Pacheco looked great last week. Hunt, not really so much. DeAndre Hopkins continues to be an amazing addition. He caught 4 of his 9 targets for 90 yards last week. That was a big, big deal. On defense, giving up only 17 points is great. They did kind of let Aiden O'Connell look pretty good, so that's not great, and they struggled a little bit against the run, so definitely going to have to step things up here against the Chargers, who, a team that's going to at least try to run the ball. We'll see what kind of success they have. In terms of their injury report, guys, the Chiefs are looking basically fully healthy, which is obviously a huge, huge deal at this point in the season. So love seeing that if you're a Chiefs fan, and their defense has been good over the course of the season. No doubt about that. Look at the numbers for this game, guys. You see the Chiefs are 4-point favorites. We've got a total here of 43. The Chargers are actually 8-4 against the spread this season, 8-4 to the under. We did already talk about how weak their schedule was. The Chiefs 5-7 against the spread and 6-6 to the over/under. Guys, I think this is where the Chiefs wake up. I think all that extra time off by Andy Reid is going to be a good thing. Give me the Chiefs here at -4. I love this play. Maybe not my favorite one of the day, but it's going right there in the pinned comment. No doubt about that. It might be tied for first or maybe just slightly in second place is my favorite play of the day. I love the Chiefs in this spot. I think Mahomes and company playing at home here against the Chargers are really going to get the job done in this one and earn a comfortable blowout win over the Chargers, a team that is not really, on their same level, and the Chiefs already have a win over them earlier this season, 17-10. at the Chargers in a game the Chiefs didn't even play that well. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. Get over to Stump the Spread to check out our premium plays on this entire NFL slate, and I will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action covering Monday Night Football and some NBA and possibly NCAA basketball games.